Trump has said, and I quote, "I will tell Putin to end the war with Ukraine and he will not mess with me," is what the US president has said. The US president further said that Zelensky should not have started the war, putting the onus of the entire conflict on the Ukrainian side. Listen in.
Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately, actually. We don't pay anything anymore. You know, we're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%. And they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war, you got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office. The auto pen took office. Bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said. And it ended up in a war. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap, because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody.
And I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Mishra on the broadcast. Siddhant, I'm trying to make heads or tails of what Trump was trying to say over there. Clearly, he himself doesn't know what's going on in the region, but saying that this was Biden's war, saying that Biden took certain decisions which led to the war, then even blaming Zelensky, but admitting to the fact that there has to be a land swap. So this entire peace deal, as per what we reported earlier as well, will heavily favor Vladimir Putin, is the indication that's coming in from Donald Trump, even though he was rambling through most of his answer.
Well, the kind of messaging which President Trump wants to give out is that since he has choked the Russian crude imports and perhaps imposed sanctions on countries buying crude from Russia, perhaps made Russia take this decision of President Putin particularly took this decision of coming and meeting Donald Trump. Also, having said that, perhaps one thing is for sure, Ayushman, there is less clarity over what is going to happen in Alaska. Earlier we in fact discussed this that whether there's going to be any breakthrough, whether there's going to be just some announcement, etc. So now this was for the first time President Trump answered questions from journalists, and perhaps it is quite understood after his briefing that there is very little clarity over what's going to happen in Alaska. So all President Trump said that he'll be meeting President Putin, and perhaps he'll also be calling up the European leaders. And then when he was asked that whether Zelensky will be present in that meeting, he said that in the next meeting Zelensky and Putin will be present, and if required, I'll also be there. So, as I said, that there must be a lot of expectations from this particular meeting taking place in Alaska. But, right now the roadmap is not very clear. As far as territories are concerned, the land swap, which President Trump has been talking about, perhaps there is very little clarity on that front as well, because President Zelensky has made his position very, very clear that that he's not going to compromise as far as Ukrainian territory is concerned. Second, in fact, he also made it very clear. In fact, he spoke to Prime Minister Modi also today, and he made it very clear that there should not be any announcement without Ukraine being involved. So, he's skeptical that there could be some deal which President Trump could strike directly
Right.
with President Putin, and perhaps Ukraine may not agree to those terms and conditions. So as I said, that there is very little clarity over what's going to happen in Alaska. One thing is for sure, there's going to be no breakthrough, and it is quite evident after listening to President Donald Trump in the briefing which he addressed an hour back, and there is no roadmap. Also, all the breakthrough would be that both leaders will be coming and will be holding talks after so many years,
Right.
and perhaps that would be kind of a symbolism, and also President Trump will be praised by his MAGA supporters that look, President Trump is giving efforts and he has called President Putin to speak, etc., etc.
Right.
But it doesn't look like there's going to be any big breakthrough or any kind of an announcement of a ceasefire.
Absolutely, because Trump had said that he would end this war on day one of his presidency, but clearly, as he says, he doesn't have the cards even when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine conflict.